Celtics escaped with a victory over the Pacers in Game 1. Jason Tatum scored 36, including 10 in OT. After Jaylen Brown's tying three-pointer with 6 seconds remaining in regulation, Boston rallied for a 133-128 win over the Pacers in the East Semi. Kirk, after the game, posted, "I'm not saying that they won't, but I don't know how the Pacers regroup from this one. They gave this game away." Yeah, that was a critical loss. Okay, I'll start with you, Austin. Do you feel like the Celtics are the clear-cut favorites to win the title after seeing Game 1?
Well, no, not after seeing that game. If you asked me this question last night, I probably would have said yes, but it just seems this team continues to be inconsistent.
Yeah.
Just in terms of their effort and in terms of their stamp on the NBA. Like, we've always wanted, I wanted last night to be a statement game. Indiana's coming off of a hard-fought battle with New York. They won 7 games. Boston's sitting there waiting. And people are like, oh, they're rusty. You don't get rusty after 5 days, okay? Boston's been practicing every day. They've been in the gym. They're not rusty. That was a game last night that when they were up 10-12 at multiple times in the game, I was waiting for them to put their foot on their neck and go up by 20-30 and let the Pacers know we're a different ball club. This is a different series than what you just played. We're the best team in the NBA. Instead, we get a down-to-the-wire game that should have went the way of the Pacers. Pacers should be up 1-0 right now. So if you're asking me, are they the clear-cut winners to win the whole title right now without Porzingis? Assuming they can get past the Pacers? No, especially with Porzingis out. If they play, assuming Minnesota wins.
Reportedly, Porzingis might come back Game 4 Monday.
And a calf strain is nothing to mess with. You know what I mean? We know what that leads to and what it has led to historically. So you got to be careful with that. And it's not an easy series for him to be implemented into. This isn't like he's playing against a slow pace, like, for instance, a Knicks team where, Brunson's walking up the ball.
Up and down, running.
He's going to be running and switching. Do you see what they're doing to Al Horford last night? Al Horford is out there guarding guards in crunch time trying to make stops. That's what they're going to do with Porzingis. They're going to test that calf out. So this isn't easy for him to come back, and they need his size. They need Porzingis. Porzingis is vital for this team, for their spacing. He's a stretch 5, so he's able to spread the floor. They need him to be able to win, and when he's back, we need to see where he's at.
Here's the deal for me, guys. I mean, let's just say it plain. We're not giving the Boston Celtics a chance to win this championship without Porzingis. You need him to win it. Without him, nobody's looking at them beating Dallas or Minnesota. So we get that out the way first. Now that we've gotten that out the way, even with him, what exactly is it that you're going to do? Because what is he reasonably going to be able to do? That's a legitimate question in terms of looking at him, that calf injury, understanding, like you just pointed out, Austin, they're going to switch, they're going to test it out, they're going to see what he's made of. You're also looking at that, and you're looking at 2 teams in Dallas and Minnesota that are incredibly tenacious. We can't bypass Indiana. Let's be very, very clear about that. I believe this is going to be a series. I think that Indiana has the potential to make it a very, very interesting series. And if Boston doesn't come with their game, they could lose this series, even though none of us have them losing the series in all actuality. I'm just thinking of the mindset. The Boston Celtics are not the favorites. They have dominated the Eastern Conference this year. They've had their way within the Eastern Conference for the vast majority of the last, 7 or 8 years or so, but they haven't been able to kick in the door. And that's really what it comes down to. And they've only made the NBA Finals once, and we saw what happened when they went up against Golden State and Steph Curry and those boys. And so now we got to look at the rest of the landscape, Minnesota and Dallas and Indiana. They shouldn't be the favorites, certainly without Porzingis. Even with Porzingis, you got to wonder about them right now based on what you're seeing because of how they play offensively. Defensively, they show up. Offensively, too much one-on-one engagement, not enough spacing, not enough movement without the basketball, not enough sharing the basketball, too much one-on-one. You're not beating elite defensive teams on a championship platform playing offense that way. It's that simple.
Well, listen, I understand they're quirky and we can nitpick them all we want. Let's be fair to them. They're 9-2 in the playoffs so far. Okay, they beat the Heat 4-1. They lost the home game. Same thing with the Cavs. And they won a game last night. They shouldn't have won, but they still won the game. 2 years ago, when they lost to Golden State, they were up 2-1. They lost the last 3 games. Last year, they were down 3-0. They got to a Game 7. So before we write and say they got to play better before they can beat Minnesota and Dallas, Minnesota's never been in an NBA final. It's a young team. That heat of an NBA final will be a little different for them. That's going to be a little strange. That's the big stage. I like Dallas, too. Same thing goes with them. They haven't gone to this level. Boston's gone to this level. So I understand they need Porzingis. He's not Bill Russell. They almost won a championship 2 years ago without Porzingis. It was the same team. They almost won a championship 2 years ago, and Golden State's better than Minnesota and they're better than Dallas. Thompson, Draymond Green, Wiggins, Curry. That was a good team. And they were up 2-1 in that series. So I understand. I don't like what Austin does. I get it. They're a weird team.
Yeah.
But let's look at it the other way, too. They did win 64 games. They are up 1-0 in this series against a hot Indiana team that's very good right now.
Should have lost last night.
They should have. But, we could say that about all sports.
That's true.
Teams should have lost.
Fair.
Bottom line is they won.
They fair.
30 years from now, if they win a series, they won, right?
That's fair.
I mean, so I think they still are the favorite. I know Steve, and I know you can tell Austin loves the T-Wolves, and Stevie loves them too.
It's not even that, man.
I can get it. But I'm still thinking that this championship's going to go through Boston.
Which team should Boston want?
Dallas, 100%. They have guards who can guard. So when you look at Dallas's strong suit, it's all guards. I mean, that's how they win games, is their two guards. Boston has a plethora of guys that they can put in and recycle, just keeping fresh bodies on those guys to where you can confidently say.
So that'd be the easier path for
them going. Minnesota's humongous. They are a big team. They are long. They're athletic. That is the last team you want to play. By the way, we can have a different conversation. Anthony Edwards right now, in the role that he's on, and again, I know he didn't play well. It's the fact that he didn't play well and he's still able to lead his team to wins.
That's what scares you.
Being 5 for 23, 5 for 24, all these different things, picking up Jamal Murray full court, ripping him, those aren't plays that you see from some of these other stars in the playoffs. These aren't plays made. He's a dynamic player. I love Minnesota, but if anything, I don't even know if I want them to win. Off the comment I said yesterday, this would be 2 years in a row where my former team has gone to the championship. It doesn't bode well for me. So if anything, I'm not like favorited for Minnesota to win. But I just see what's left. I see how their team is made up. That Game 7 win on the road in Denver told me a lot about them and where they're at. And the maturity of Ant, especially, considering he didn't have a good game. It just shows you that this guy's able to make plays, winning plays, even if it's not beneficial for him that night. It's easy to play hard when you're scoring, when you're making shots. You ever notice when a guy hits a three, the next play they go back on defense, they're slapping the ground, playing defense? This guy was 5 for 23, picking up Jamal Murray at half court, turning over, making vital plays, in the huddle, talking. That's important. And I'm not saying these other teams don't have that. I just think sometimes that momentum, as you see in like an NCAA tournament, when a team has belief in momentum, anything is possible. And you have that with this team right now. And I know it's not one game elimination. The playoffs are different. But Minnesota, the way they're built.
Yeah, Mad Dog, you got to believe it in life before you can conceive it, okay? So take that one to the bank.
Little philosophy from you.
A little philosophy. The Celtics have lost both Game 2s in their playoff series,
if they
right?
lose
By double digits to the Cavs.
If they lose this Game 2 after that scare that they got out of the game, and everybody's telling them that they've lost 2 straight Game 2s, if they lay another egg tomorrow night, then we'll have a different conversation.
You worry about calling Fat Rob and losing your money. I got to go to break.
NBA